There's a fire in love. There's a fire in love. There's a fire, there's a fire in love. stone. I feel like I'd be better off on my own. Well, I don't wanna lose you in the smoke. I feel like I'd be better off all alone. We can stay up until it's light. Forget my fate, best kicked off to the side. When the daytime comes, you go. Yeah, I think I'd be better off all alone. Yeah, I think I'd be better off all alone. I'd be better off all alone. I'd be better off all alone.
Mark, and it's time for another live stop motion chat show. And so tonight I'm actually going to be talking about, let's see if I can bring it up. First thing is Shavant, or not Shavant, it's actually Castelline, but I believe it's made by Shavant. It's a type of a waxy substance that people sculpt with. And here are some pictures on Google that you can see, some creations. Let's see if I can straighten this out here. So what Shavant is essentially like a very soft kind of a wax. And it comes in actually different hardnesses. There's 3 hardnesses. There's soft, medium, and hard. And this is kind of what people used before something like ZBrush came out. And people still use a lot, actually. It's great for creating characters if you want to. But it's probably best for prop making, for stop motion props. But you can pretty much sculpt anything you want from it in terms of complexity. Let me see if I can find, let's bring up one picture. How about this one? Let's see if I can, I want to actually find a big picture so you can see the detail that you can put into these here, maybe here. Actually, if I recall, this web page has a lot of pictures. Okay, I probably should have tried to find one before. Yeah, it's just a big blog, unfortunately. But I guess you can kind of see here. It is a material that you can get super smooth, fine detail out of. And in fact, the hard version of this is sandable. So let's say, for example, you're normally sculpting a character in soft clay and you want it to be smooth. And you want it to be smooth so that when you mold it, it will be, it won't have your fingerprints or little dents and things like that. You can cast this stuff by melting it and pouring it into molds. And you can also take it and you can put it under a lamp and heat it up, with a nice hot light bulb. And you can make it more workable that way. You can use heat guns. You can use alcohol lamps with Castelline. You can use different substances to melt it chemically as well. And you can also use tools that are meant for carving wax because it's mostly waxy substance. So there are tools like wax pens, they call them. And it's also you can see here's a good picture. It is somewhat hard. You can actually crack it when it's totally cool. And that's one of the things that, it's really hard to work with if you don't use, like here's a good picture. Someone's got a alcohol lamp, they've got a lighter, they've got their stainless steel tools as well. And these tools are heated up with the alcohol lamp and pushed into the Castelline as well. So not just electrical wax pens, but you can use heated tools like this from eBay, and you can probably buy about a 12-pack of tools like this for $9 on eBay. So they're not expensive. We also sell them on our website as well, and so it's not totally impossible to work with. But the advantages of trying it out and getting good at it are that you can make excellent looking props that are smooth. And you can actually paint them. So if you wanted to not cast a whole bunch of parts in plastic, you can melt Castelline into a double boiler, and you can pour it into a mold and produce all kinds of amazing little parts. And it holds detail, like I say, amazingly well. It also, like I said, you can use any kind of heated tools. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because for the longest time it's been really hard to figure out the tricks of the trade, and there's a few websites and blogs that kind of explain how to work with Castelline. But someone posted on Facebook something called the Castelline Compendium, and this is from Max H from smocreations.com, and maybe we can visit that webpage. So So it's all really good to learn these things. Oh, it doesn't exist. So I guess this is probably very old. It says it's version 0.02, which doesn't sound like a very high version. So it's probably one of the first and maybe the last. I don't know. But it goes on to explain how you can essentially work with it. And it tells you the tools, and it tells you about wax carvers, probes, loop and ribbon tools, knives, burnishing tools, sandpaper and sanding pads. And it says here, for example, Castelline is easily sanded when it is cool. It's best to look for sandpaper and flexible pads designed to be used in wet sanding. Nylon stockings work extremely well for polishing the surface afterwards. And it says this will be covered in detail in the section on smoothing and finishing, which is below. Also, heating equipment as well. So he says that you should have a minimum of at least 2 heat sources, one for softening the Castelline and one for heating your tools. So I guess what he's saying, like a heat lamp is one option, a heat gun, a microwave oven, which I don't really recommend that for clay or for any sort of waxes like this, because it's not really easy to control the heat. But also he says a double boiler or crock pot, or even using sunlight. And of course that's not very, that's not a bad idea, but the sun isn't out at 2 in the morning when you might get the urge to be creative. But of course these are all options. And he says the tools can be heated over an open flame, such as a candle, alcohol lamp, or using a heat gun or similar tool. Candles, I wouldn't really recommend that either, because it'll blacken your tools and blacken your wax. But it goes on into heating the wax using a microwave and so forth, which is really, really, this is just like a really great resource here for anybody that wants to get into it and not have to search like 500,000 blogs for tips on all these things. So he goes into detail about everything: candles, the alcohol lamps, the heat guns, and lamps and bulbs, and also the harnesses and the colors of the Castelline and what they mean, and if they're different or not, which actually the colors have nothing to do with it, but kind of good to know. How to increase the hardness, forming and shaping. And he even goes on, somewhere in here I read, so he goes on to explain, for example, how you can use different colored Castelline to put together a model, so that you can know which parts are made out of soft Castelline. So you might get like a soft version of Castelline in pink, and then a hard version in green. And that way you can distinguish, I guess that's what this person did. You can sort of distinguish which parts are what. And so underlying parts you might cast in the hard in a mold, and you would add the softer Castelline on top, just so that you don't hurt or destroy your original sculpture. So there's a lot of tricks like that. And so this is just something that I own some. I own the hard version, and so what I would use that for is for essentially casting. And I've never tried the soft or medium formula yet, and I imagine that it probably is not. It's still going to be pretty hard for most people that are used to oil-based clays. So if you can kind of imagine Van Aken clay or Pongo or something like that you might be using, and making it about 3 to 4 times harder. So and also it's kind of a gummy substance. It's kind of sticky, because of the waxes in there, and so when you use it, it behaves differently with your tools, and also it does not deform the same way as normal oil-based clay. So everything is more like working in wood or stone, where what you put into how you carve it is sort of permanently there. And what I mean by that is, like, if you take your finger and squish it, that deformation does not spread out to the whole entire model. Whereas with like Van Aken, if you squish a piece of Van Aken, between your fingers like a round ball, the whole thing kind of flexes and the outer parts will kind of turn into an oval shape. Whereas with this, you really can't do that, if that makes any sense. Also, like this person here, you can see, I don't know if they've painted the castelline here or not. This might have been a casting, but you can actually paint it like this. So you can make props directly out of it, and which is actually really good, if you want something to be hard and sturdy for animation purposes. So lots and lots of pictures. Have you guys ever tried it before? Now, Nick is saying, I tried a material that is similar to the hard castelline called CX5. You couldn't model it with your hands at all. It had to be too hot to touch. But the hardness is great for carving fine details. Yeah. Now, Nick, the CX5, that's from Adam Bean, I think. But is that in different hardnesses like castelline, or is that just a one-size-fits-all material? And so Nick says you could sculpt in plasticine, mold it, and cast it in the hard castelline, and then carve details to finish it off. Yes, that's what's so great about it, actually. And you can sort of skip using casting parts out of resin, which is a little bit more expensive. Which I think that's how. I think Henry Selick might have used a similar technique when he made James and the Giant Peach for the spider heads. I'm not sure if he used like a castelline or if he used plasticine and then cast those parts in plastic and sanded them, for remolding purposes. But this would have probably saved the production a lot of money using a substance like this. Which I still don't really know how they did those, but I've got one spider head from that film, and it's a plastic cast spider head that Webster was on last week. If you guys remember, he sent me one of these heads from the production, and if you looked at it, there would be like a hard, well, the whole thing was hard plastic, but you could tell looking at it that the way that they did it is they would like sculpt the head, the replacement face head, and then they probably carved out the mouth parts and then used something similar to this just to resculpt the mouths for replacement purposes. That's like one example of what you could use this for, because it's very, detail oriented. It's like the last step you would do is to use this kind of a. So Nick says, don't think you could make a hard plaster mold from CX5 either. You would need a silicone mold. It's rock hard, he says. Oh, okay. So Nick says, and with regards to the question of does it come in different hardnesses? Does CX5 come in different hardnesses? And he says, yes, it might be now, but it was only hard when I got some to test. Yeah, and CX5 is, I believe, because Adam Bean used to use castelline a real lot, and I know that. Let's see here. I know that here's some CX5. His invention of CX5, I believe, tries to tackle certain problems with castelline and other waxes that are used for toy making. But I don't really know, what advantages this has exactly. I think it might be just, maybe the hardness is in between all the other hardnesses that are. Like maybe it's soft enough for sculpting, but you don't need an armature like this piece here. You can see there's no armature. Let's see. Maybe we can discover what the advantages are. CX5 and CX. So okay, CX5S must be the soft version. Let's see. Oh. Are you going to work here? Okay, I guess this is the actual page. So it says here, a sculpting revolution. CX5 and CX5S are premium sculpting materials designed to be used in place of sculpting clays, finished waxes, and prototyping plastics. So I guess this is a sort of, one size fits all material. So he's trying to essentially make this formula workable as all three of those. And that kind of makes sense. If it's heated up and soft, it could be like a sculpting clay, and then you can finish it out, and I guess you could create prototypes directly from it. That makes sense, because you could just cast it like what Nick was saying. And Beardbotnik says, there was a tutorial I saw about doing faces like that. Maybe I can find it in my bookmarks. So it says here they handle like clay when warm, finish like wax, and can be as hard as plastic when cool. So, I mean, that pretty much describes Castelline as well. It's pretty much the same description you would give it. And CX5 is the softer version, or CX5S is the softer version. And by mixing the two, you can create a hardness level that's appropriate for your sculpting style. So that again, that's also the description of Castelline, because Castelline is in 3 hardnesses, and you can actually take the hard and the soft, and you can mix them together and make medium. So I mean, it's pretty much the same, and they are the ideal material for every stage of your project, from roughing out and building up to adding fine lines, machined features, and a high polish. Now, I'm not really sure if you can machine Castelline hard. I'm not totally sure. I guess you probably could, but you'd have to have tools that are spinning at a really low RPM. Maybe this is somewhat different in terms of that. So it says, how does it work? CX5 is a temperature-sensitive material that behaves like clay, wax, plastic, and even paint at different temperatures. That's interesting. And CX5S is the softer version of CX5. Because either can be used for every stage of sculpting, they eliminate the need to begin your sculpture in clay, create a waste mold, and pour a wax for final detailing. Okay, so if I understand that correctly, what he's trying to say is that that would be the process you would use with Castelline. So this somehow formula takes that problem away. So okay, so that's probably the main difference. And so Beard says, can't post links, but Joshua Flynn's stop motion blog has information on doing replacement faces by hand. Okay, and Nick says, they handle like clay when warm is not quite true. They handle like clay when burning hot. And Nick says, I suspect it's pretty much the same stuff as Castelline with minor changes and some marketing. Yeah, that could very well be. And it's a different color, right? It's gray. And I think that's kind of a good thing. I mean, the gray color is nice to work with. If you have ever used Super Sculpey or Sculpey Firm, they've got, the Firm version is gray. And it's much easier to sculpt gray than the fleshy translucent color, because translucency, sometimes the light goes through it and you can't see your details very well. And Nick says, for me, they do not eliminate the clay sculpting stage at all. Now, do you think, Nick, so the soft version, maybe the soft version is what they're referring to, because, well, yeah, it says because either can be used for every stage of sculpting. So, yeah, they're saying that the kind that you used would have been sculptable, but evidently it has to be too hot. So that's too bad. So yes, maybe some untrue statements here. So do all your work from start to finish in just CX5. First, rough out your sculpture in warm CX5 or CX5S without the need for an armature. Then fine-tune the details using both traditional and hot tools. When your sculpting has cooled completely, sand or polish the surface for a perfect finish. Any sculpture can be cut apart and molded using traditional mold materials and melted down and reused for your next project. All right. So that's pretty interesting. So I guess mix your own medium, it says. Tool CX5S with unheated metal tools at room temperature. Yeah, holds the crispest, finest detail, the harder version. Cools quicker for a rigid armature. It says best for 12mm to 12-inch sculptures, and best for hottest climates. And for cold climates, the soft version would be best used, it says. So yeah, now I guess that does make a difference, doesn't it? So if you try to actually sculpt, if you try to warm it up and sculpt it in a colder, let's say a garage, and it's wintertime and it's not so warm inside the house or your garage, it would actually be harder to sculpt. So that actually plays a part in what you might go for, right? You know, which one you might want to buy. So Nick says they've made the claim before producing the softer version. I don't have hot tools, so I didn't much make progress. And this is how Adam does it in his YouTube video with heated tools. Yeah. And you had to have almost everything has to be heated up for using it. And that's kind of why I think clays like Chavant clay, you know, they have different hardness versions which are not as hard as this, and a lot of people use that. Yeah, I mean, but it's good for certain things. Obviously, for certain things, it's not. I'm not really sure, you know, with 3D printing, you know, like companies like Leica are going strictly for 3D prints and the digital sculpting. So, but I think that the advantage of this is that you can smooth it better than a 3D printer can print something. So there are a lot of, you know, reasons why this is actually in some ways better than even what Leica is doing in terms of you know, having to print things and then sand them to get them smooth. Maybe a combination of something like a 3D printer where you print a replacement face and you have all those little stair step lines. You could mold and cast that with something like this and then sand it perfectly smooth. You know, remold and cast the smooth version and then make replacements that way, so you don't have to print out so many faces. That's another option. So we've got some sculpting tutorials, which kind of explains how it's done. And here's a Conan O'Brien sculpture, the face. So let's see here. I've got some videos, which I'm not going to play all these. Let's see. Yeah, it's already 8:23. But if you guys are interested in either Castelline or this, just do a search on Google. And the Castelline compendium is a PDF file. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to... This is on castelline.com. And I'm going to put a link in our... Let's see here. I'll post it now. I'm going to post it on our fan page on Facebook. So if you guys want to read this and learn more and see if it would help you in your filmmaking, it will be there. So let's post it now. Okay, hopefully this works as a link. Huh. Oh, okay. It looks like I accidentally posted it twice. So, yes, on our fan page, if you guys want to find a link to it, just go down here and it will be right there. And I don't know if... Oh, here it is. Yeah, I was trying to post it twice by accident. So, this is the link. So you can read up. Okay. So that is that. Okay. Where are we? Close this. All right. So now the other week I mentioned something, a program that is open source called Krita or Krita. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. It's Krita, and so I've been doing some experiments with it. Let's see if I can open up an experiment. I did. Actually, I suppose I could open it up within the program itself. Okay, so let's go here. Okay. So this is a really amazing program. Just for the fact that it's well, first off, it's free, and also because it's a. Oh, hey, Ron. Ron's here. Welcome to the show, Ron. That's okay. Yeah, if you're busy, that's okay. You don't have to apologize. It's not like I ever pay you for advertising or live shows or anything, so that's okay. Don't worry. We were just talking about Castelline and Adam Bean's CX5. He's got like this this waxy substance that you can sculpt with. So we were just talking about that, and now we're going to talk about Krita. And Nick asked me, what material do you use to sculpt your life-size portrait heads like the recent one of Angelina Jolie? I use a water-based clay called Wed Clay. It stands for Walter E. Disney, but I get it on Berman Industries, which is a website well, let me see here. I guess it's run out of California. One of the famous makeup artists out there has run a website and has sold like sculpting tools and casting products for probably over 25 years or so, and that's where I get it from. So I don't know where you can probably find that in Australia. I'm sure that there's probably some supplier out there, but it's just water based, and you can sculpt in it very fast because when it's fully wet, you just take your finger and your thumbs, and you can like make eyeball sockets instantly, and then as it starts to dry, it becomes harder, and you can put more detail and stuff into it. Hey Randy, welcome to the show, guys. Welcome. All right, so this is Krita, and this is a really cool program. I just want to show you guys. You know what? I can't use my Wacom tablet pen on this side of the screen because I've turned that off. But anyway, that's okay. Here's an experiment that I've done in here with this free program, and as you can see, it's just like I've got some sort of a explosion. It's very rough, and you can see all these different colors and whatnot on the screen. And this was done in probably about 2 hours. And what's awesome about this is all these brushes that I used I got for free, and I wanted to show you guys that. So here's Krita, and like I said, this is just their main page, their sort of like wiki page that they have. And so they've got this document page, and you can read up about it. But if you want to go to the main site, it is krita.org, and for English, it's /en. So it's krita.org /en/. And on their resources page, which I'm not even sure how I found the resources page because I don't see it up top here. Maybe learn, shop, English. It's around here someplace. Which I might post this later as well. But on their resources page, oh, okay, so it's in their document area. And I guess it's on the left somewhere. Yeah, resource management, well. Yeah, their site, is a little hard to navigate, I have to admit. So I'm not sure how I found this. But if you want to, just look at the link up top here. You can see the link. So it's docs.krita.org/resources. But all these are free brush sets, and these are just people that they've worked with the program, they like it, and they've created these little subsets of pens and pencils and airbrushes and erasers and other things. And so let me show you in Krita. Now, I'm not sure if I know how to do this exactly. But there are tool settings for each of these tools. So we have like a freehand brush, and we have a pen as well for calligraphy. Let's see if I can bring this over. Still not very good at this yet. But all of these brushes that you see, they have a tool option on each of these where you can set the opacity, the size. So for example, we have this pen here. We have brushes. And when you use a Wacom tablet, it's not just all black. It's in gradients. We can erase that. We have erasers. We have erasers that are more airbrushy. We have like pens. And all of these are, from what I understand, you can, let's see here, shown Dockers. Well, anyway, they have different engines for different brushes. And so like a pen engine has certain attributes that you can change, and you can modify all the options. And the problem is that I'm not seeing where I can do that. And there used to be a thing over here where you could do that. So I'm not really sure what's going on or why I can't find that right now. Tablet settings, performance, canvas only. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, I can't find it, but you have the ability to make your own brushes within this. And so in the resource section on their page, obviously artists have figured out how to do that. And so here's David Ravoy, and he created a whole bunch of brushes. And these are just some of the more basic ones he offers. And these are mixed brushes, he calls them. And so I've experimented with this, and it works really well. And I did use a lot of these for the test that I did here. Let's put this out of the way. And this is sort of the result. And also what I used were, let me see. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to show, and what's so great about this, is that you can actually organize your brushes on here. So you right-click your page, or if you're using your Wacom tablet pen, there's a little mouse clicker on the pen itself. And you can change the colors, and you can change the pen instantly. And you can put any sort of groups of pens and pencils and brushes that you want in this little category section. So it's really easy to just click on here and find what you like, and then have at it. So you got like some textures, and we've got like a rake type of a thing, and we've got like calligraphy, and it just works really, really well. So if you're interested in something like this, I would highly recommend you try it out. And let me see if I can. I'm not going to save it. And let's see if we can find. Let's see. It's another one. Just it's messing around on here, trying to see what it can do. And the brushes that I used here were in David Ravoy's brush kit 8.0, and these brushes have a different shapes like chains, and we've got splatters and leaves and grass and so forth. So I tried this one out, and so which one is it? It is this. So you can see we got like foliage, and you can change the size as well. So as plants get closer, we can change the color here. Let's go to a green. And we've got like this sort of stampy texture. And then you can change the colors from that to lighter. There's also the ability to change how your brushes behave. So we can use color dodge, and we can sort of lighten things up, which is really cool. We can select like yellow, lighten it up with yellows. That's like color dodge, and we got burn and darken. So we can darken what we've done. So there's just so many amazing options with this, and it's really similar to Photoshop in quality, I think, personally. All for free. So let's see. Yeah, Beard Botnik, you were mentioning something about lazy mouse and vectors. Yeah, you can sort of take these brushes and let's see. So how do we do this now? I'm trying to remember. Tablet settings. Yeah, you can change how much of a smooth mouse option you want with these brushes, believe it or not. So let me go to something like this. Change the color to black. So if we're going to draw on here like this, you'll see that there's this sort of circle on here, right? And you can change that circle to smooth out your lines, but how do I do that? Let me see here. But it's got a lot of amazing things like smooth mouse, and just trying to remember how to do it. Oh. I've done it about 3 times, so I don't really remember the thing to click. Let me see if I can make it bigger if it's here. Edit brush settings. Okay, here it is. So for this, you know what? I don't know. I don't want to do something and screw up my current presets, but you can change the way that it behaves. So let's see here. So Beard says, for vector graphics, Affinity has signups for their upcoming PC beta test. Look for it. Looks like it will be a good competition with Illustrator. And you can use vector graphics with this, believe it or not. It has that ability to do that. If I can maybe find it. So you can do something like that if you wanted to draw certain lines. But it does have vector graphics, the ability to do that. I just don't know exactly how to do that yet. And Gabriel says, I have 4 days on my Creative Cloud free trial. I am so sad to be poor. And Ron says, I do most of my illustration in Photoshop Elements, but that's actually very limited. I'm just used to using it, he says. Yeah, this is kind of intuitive, and it's sort of along the same lines as Photoshop in terms of what they've got. Most of these drop-down menus are kind of similar. Not completely, but there's a lot of similarities. filter. Like for example, I like to use Gaussian blur. So, you know, this is the same thing you would find in Photoshop. Go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian blur. And let's just see what that does. That makes it a little bit blurrier. Blur, Gaussian blur. Let's see if we can. Let's do a motion blur. Let's go with a length of 50 and see what happens. Alright, so if you're used to using Photoshop, all these options are kind of, like I said, really similar. You can always Control Z everything, so you don't like what you did, just delete it all. I'm not really sure how many levels of undo there are on this. There might be more than or less than Photoshop. I'm not sure. And Janet says, I only draw in Sketchbook, which is a good program. It's a little bit you know, it's a simpler program than this. It does the job. What I really like about this one is the fact that you can really make clouds and things like that so easily. And I kind of like that for, you know, if I'm going to make another film, I might use this to do that and incorporate, you know, actual... let's see. So, for example, what was that one I used? It was here. Was it here? Was it this brush? No. But in their resources section, you can find a lot of free brushes that you can make clouds with. And favorite concept. No. Yeah, there's a problem with some of these. This concept illustration one that I added, the presets are added to this drop down for some reason, and there's a error message. So I think this might be for an older version of Krita, so it doesn't work properly. It's not supposed to give me that texture, which is strange. So yeah. It's just really nice and really fun. And Beard says, I don't think Inkscape has changed that much, but where'd it go here? But I just got used to it since it got the job done 80% of the time without me dropping money on Illustrator every month. Yeah, and this is updated through Kickstarter campaigns. So the people that are behind this, what they do is they'll say, well, we want to add, for example, the ability for animators to use this program, so we're going to have a Kickstarter, and they'll raise some money, and when they raise their money, they update it and add all these different, you know, options to the core, I guess, of the program. And Henry says that's the only reason he can't get After Effects. I guess because financially it's expensive. Which I totally understand. And so Gabriel says, I live in South America. 98% of studios use a cracked version of POF Adobe since the monthly subscription appeared. And Ron says the best free app I got recently is Natron Compositor, which is like Nuke and After Effects, and it's totally free. Awesome. So Natron, huh? We can look that up real quick. Which I think I've seen that before, or talked about it before, but right. So I don't think I've tried this before, but it sounds pretty neat. Yeah, this might be something we talk about next week. This week we'll talk about Krita, which is a free graphics program, and maybe next week we'll talk about Natron, so I'll read up on that. So Gabriel says just the tracking feature has been upgraded. CC is the same. That sht.cs5 CC. You mean Castelline? I'm not understanding your acronyms. Nick says Keylight is the main reason I use After Effects. Most things I do in TV Paint, but Keylight is great at green screen keying. Ron says the Foundry discontinued selling Keylight as a plugin, and now it's just part of After Effects. Yeah, After Effects is I used to use it for green screen myself, and I never liked the results. And even I noticed on Webster Callcord's Bubble last video with the chimp, Bubbles the chimp, the chroma key wasn't really that great. I mean, it was okay, but you could see when they zoomed in on their characters, there's like a line around them. And for some reason, Sony Vegas has just, for me, I've always found it to be the best chroma key program out there, and it's not even that popular of a program. It just works really well. I'm not really sure what's different between all these programs, like why that would be. If the programming is different, or the math, or the algorithms, what it is, I don't know. But I never really liked After Effects. But I'm sure the new version is 10 times better than the version I have, which was like, how many years ago? Like 15 years ago. Yeah, Natron. I might download it just to see what it can do. It sounds kind of fun. Oh, CC is Creative Cloud. Gotcha. I don't understand what that has to do with CS5. Is that the latest version, or? But anyways, the keying in Blender 3D is pretty good, and it's free as well, Ron says. And Beard says, yeah, Blender is good, but it does take a bit of extra steps on the things I've tried it for video-wise. Yeah, Blender for me, I recently deleted that from my computer just because I never really used it much. And it's pretty complicated. Or at least at first, it's pretty daunting. There's so much you can click on. And I'm sure I could find tutorials, but for me, it's just so simple to use what I have, Sony Vegas. It's really easy. But yeah, Blender is a great program for a lot of things. And I know Alba's either boyfriend or husband, Juan, he uses that for sculpting his 3D faces for printing, which is like what Leica does. But I think Leica is using things like ZBrush, maybe Maya as well. But they of course have a immense budget for their projects. Oh, okay. So CS is Creative Suite, now superseded by Creative Cloud. Got ya. Okay, and what you had to pay for every month. You can't just buy it once and use it for years. Yeah, okay. That's right. Yeah, because they have like the monthly subscription stuff, and yeah, I understand. I just didn't know Creative Suite was so that preceded Creative Cloud. Okay. Yeah, which that's one reason why I don't really want to use or buy the new Photoshop, like do the monthly thing, because with what I have, it works great, and I don't have any reason to go for a newer version. Like I don't think I would use all the new features. For me, it would just be kind of wasteful. So Thomas says the good thing about Blender is the online community, lots and lots of support to get going. Yeah, there is a lot of support. Same with like ZBrush and all of those things. Most of these programs, you go on YouTube and you can find a lot of tutorials. Yeah. Yeah, it really is a steal for a 3D program. And there's another program where you can sculpt similar to ZBrush, which I've downloaded, but I've never tried to sculpt much in it. What is it called? Mesh Slab Converter? No, Mesh Mixer. Mesh Mixer. Which maybe I could bring that up, actually. Let me close this. Okay. I hope it loads. It doesn't like lock up my computer. Is it this one? Autodesk Mesh Mixer? Where are we here? Okay. Yeah, so if you guys don't like Blender, if it's really complicated, this one here is a bit easier. Or simpler, I should say. So let's see. Open. Let's see if I can open anything here. Bunny plane. Well, anyways, you know, there was a sculpture you can download and open in this, but I don't remember how to do it. See, I've got a lot of programs I'm still trying to learn, and that's so I probably shouldn't bring it up. But there are programs that are emerging that I think are going to compete with ZBrush and be more user intuitive for, you know, sculptors like myself who just don't really like the technical aspects and just go for the intuitive stuff and like to, you know, get in there and sculpt on a blob without having to click on so many things. Even ZBrush is complicated, just trying to sculpt something. And, you know, let me see if I can show you guys what I did one time. Oh, man, where is it? I think I have too much stuff on my computer. Oh, let's see. Krita, 3D printers. I might have organized it, and then in my organizing, I don't remember where I put it. But I've sculpted in there, and I can probably show you guys really quickly on Facebook. Let me do that. So Ron Cole says, Mesh Mixer, is that Mac or what? That is for, I believe, both. This is Mesh Mixer from Autodesk. So you can work with meshes, and it's good for 3D printing, and that's essentially what most people use it for, is for 3D printing. It allows you to do, you know, use it for Windows and OS X and Linux. It says health, creativity. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that today, though. I probably shouldn't have brought it up. But Sculptress, you know, Sculptress is one I could actually probably show you guys if you guys want a really good free sculpting program. Try Sculptress. I've shown this before, and it's, like I say, super easy to use. And like if you're kind of a dummy like me when it comes to computers, which I know a little bit, but I mean my memory is not good for remembering all the different things you need to do. Sculptress is a great one to use, you know, for just sculpting purposes. So yeah, Ron, I would definitely, if you want to sculpt, try that out. And I know you have ZBrush already, but this one works really good too. Man, I want to find that one thing for you guys. I can't find it. Trying to find it off to the side. One of the things I did for somebody was to sculpt a monk, a Buddhist monk, and I think I might have it on Facebook. Yeah, here it is. All right. So here it is. So I managed to actually sculpt something in ZBrush, and it took me probably 2 weeks of just constantly working on this and following tutorials and trying to understand how the program worked. And it was really fun, but I did this maybe how long ago? When did I actually make this? This was in October 2015. I really can't even tell you how I did this. I mean, I used all of the brushes and Dynamesh and all these things that they've got, but to repeat this after not using it for that long of a period, which is not really even a year yet, I can't really tell you how I did all this stuff because it's just so complicated. But computerized sculpting, it works great. But if the programs were simpler, it would just be so much easier for sculptors. And that's kind of like, why I like Sculptress more than anything. Oh, okay. Yeah, So Gabriel, you like Sculptress? I'll show you again kind of like what you can do. And it's really simple. They've got only, this is your set of tools. You've got symmetry, which you can turn on and off. So you can sculpt on one side here if you want, or turn it back on. So you can sculpt on one side and it works on the other side. You've got like the flatten brush, so you can flatten parts out, make things more geometric. You've got creases that you can put in there. Add a crease. And you can zoom in and zoom out and do whatever you want. Essentially, you can subdivide, which means that you make your mesh more complicated for more details. So this is what I actually use along with Tinkercad, and Tinkercad is what I use for making my Bendy's armature kits. And I'll make something that's kind of organic in here. This is great for organic shapes, like you can see. Alright, so that's Sculptress. Free program. And then I go into Tinkercad. And Tinkercad is also free. It's sort of like, the Creative Cloud that... Not sure if I'm logged in yet. Let's see. Hopefully I can sign in. So have you guys used any of these programs before? Ron Cole, obviously, he's used... let's see. Okay. Ron Cole has used Sculptress, and obviously you guys, some of you have used Photoshop and whatnot, but all these free programs, are you guys ever using any free programs to help with your projects? I know GIMP. GIMP is another free graphics program that's kind of popular. And Gabriel says 3D modeling is so hard and you look boring when you do it. Yeah, there is a bit of it is a little bit boring in some sense. Let's see. There we go. So here I use Sculptress to sculpt a basic T-Rex head. And then when I sculpted the T-Rex head, I brought it into Tinkercad and added all these geometric shapes to it. And I used different spheres and things, which I resized so that I could stick some Delrin eyeballs in these sockets. And so I haven't printed this one. I printed out an earlier version of this, but I haven't printed this one out. But you can see kind of what Sculptress and Tinkercad, which are both free, what you can do. And this is great for making armatures and stuff. So you could, in theory, you could use Krita as your your design program, so you can design and sketch out your armatures or your characters. You can use Sculptress to rough sculpt things, and then you can use Tinkercad to resize and make sure that things are the exact dimensions that you need for your puppets. So all free. Yeah, so Gabriel says the process is called compositing. So Janet is asking, I have a question about add animation CGI in live action movies. What is this option called? Yeah, compositing, chroma keying, green screening. But yeah, compositing is where you take your live action and you stick your animated characters in there. And actually, Ron Cole is someone that's an expert at that. He's done that for stop motion films in the past, where he's made stop motion characters interact with live actors. He composited, I think, that all in After Effects, if I'm correct. And Nick says, I did try Sculptress, got better results for organic stuff than with Lightwave 3D program that I use, and was able to save as a Lightwave object. Very cool. And you know what's neat about these free programs? There's another program. So, I mean, I know this is probably all getting complicated. Even for me, it's a little bit complicated. But there's a thing called Mesh Lab. So if you want to convert your 3D objects from one type to another. So, for example, like an OBJ into a, let's say for your Lightwave project. Mesh Lab is a program where you can convert all your initial meshes from whatever program you're using into any other mesh. So I use this. This is what I use to convert Sculptress into, I think it's STLs, if I recall, for Tinkercad to import. So Mesh Lab. So I convert, OBJ to STL is what I use it for. And I can probably load it up and you can see what it looks like. Yeah, so I don't know if this is really helpful for you guys or not. I mean, I think I might have even shown this on a previous show, but this is Mesh Lab 64-bit version 1.3.3, and this is where you can import, whatever you want. Let's just say I don't think I have anything I can bring up because I don't have my folders set up properly. But you would just import your mesh into here, and this can also check for holes in your mesh and fix them as well. And the reason they do that is for 3D printing purposes, so you don't get a print that is corrupted, corrupted print. But some Mesh Lab, so check it out if you're interested in converting your meshes. So that's we're kind of getting off the path of stop motion, but it's pretty helpful, yeah. Now Janet says, I watched a movie about special effects and they say Syntiax, and I was wondering, what is it? Syntiax. I'm not sure. Can you explain a little more about what it might be that you might think it is, or like maybe some context? Okay, Thomas. Yeah, you take care. Actually, what time is it? I think it's actually time to end the show, isn't it? But maybe I can answer Janet's question as part of the last part of the show. Yeah, so Janet, if you can explain a little better about what this is and what it refers to, Syntiax, maybe we can answer. Right, let's see. Yeah, now for our live shows, I've got this thing that I've discovered that that people use for broadcasting. And so let's see, next week, I should probably mention that next week is the deadline for our monthly challenges. Let me see if I can bring that up too. Okay. So Ron says, you'll enjoy Sculptress. It's so easy and it feels like playing a game. And Nick says he Googled Syntax and didn't get anything useful. Yeah. I'm thinking the because Janet is from Poland, so I think that she's, it probably sounds similar. And Gabriel says, check out my entry for the monthly challenges. It is on my channel. Finger like knives. Cool. Yeah, this is going to be a fun monthly challenge, I think, this month. Let's see. June 18. That's strange. So actually, you know what? I think I must have put... What did I do? Was it for July? Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday the 8th, 15. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change that. I'm not really sure why I put the 18th, because 18th is not a Wednesday. But so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this to the 22nd. It's not the 22nd, right? Is it? Yeah, the 22nd. Okay, so that's what it is. Yeah, I was supposed to write the 22nd. Darn, I screwed up. But yeah, there's already looks like we have 1, 2, 3 challenge entries already. Got one from Gabriel and from Thomas. And I talked to Thomas. I talked to him on Facebook, and he was worried about using a Lego figure for the monthly challenge. And I said, well, as long as your figures are handmade, you know, it should be okay. And his entry is really good. And also Clay Mara entered again, which is awesome. Finally getting back into that. And so next week we're going to discuss these, and we're going to vote on who is the best. So if you guys are working on one right now, make sure to get that in as soon as you can. And the topic is cut. And it's cut. That is the general topic. And so Janet says they talk about the TV show with Wimpier. I have screen vampires. Oh, with vampires. They talk about it in the show with vampires. I'm not sure, Janet. Maybe if you want, send me a link, and maybe we can discuss it next week. How about that? Maybe we can answer your question. So I'm not really sure I understand completely, and it's probably something really simple. And Henry says, I'm thinking about entering some contests soon. Okay, that'd be awesome. I mean, if you're finally free and can do that, as long as it doesn't hurt your studies. All right, guys. Well, anyway, that does conclude our show this week, and maybe it wasn't the most exciting show. I know sometimes talking about software is not as fun as actually talking about doing hands-on stuff, which we all love. But software is a really important part of stop motion, so I just want to talk about some of those things. And okay, so see you guys all next week. Goodbye.